Hello everyone, this is TheNelston. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm here with a new episode of the Hardcore Rebirth of the Night playthrough. This has been an absolute treat to shoot and edit, and I'm amazed by how well it's done on YouTube, so thank you guys for all the support. Before we get into the video, I just had a couple quick announcements. The first one is that, as always, you should join my Discord. It's a lot of fun, and we have some exclusive content in there. Not only fans. And the next thing I wanted to say is I'm not going to be uploading that much this week. I've been pretty busy, and I also have a huge video planned for next week, so I'm going to be spending all of my free time this week pretty much working on that video. I don't really have anything else to say, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the video. Hope you guys enjoy. I started off day 21 by heading over to the village to do some business. The first thing I did was buy another Totem of Undying. Honestly, this trade is so broken, but we don't talk about that. As I was leaving the village, I stumbled across an old friend. The reindeer I had once known was now running free. After that, it was time to head back and get on with my day. Oh boy, nice big hole. I'm sure nothing bad will happen. My original plan was to go caving, but then stars started to fall from the sky and I decided I should go pick them up. It's pretty difficult dealing with all of the mobs, but these stars, unlike astrology, were actually useful. So I decided to just, deal with it. Being in the dead of winter was actually really helpful because that meant that I could run on the rivers instead of having to swim through them. And this is why the bow is just easily the best weapon in any mod pack. I mean, just look at this. This game really makes me feel like dollar store Legolas. While dealing with the aftermath of a creeper explosion, I was suddenly splashed by poison. I think you all know the drill. The moment I get poisoned, I'm out. If anybody asks you why Hardcore and Rebirth of the Night is so hard, another reason is because your health regenerates at an astoundingly slow pace. Even after 10 minutes of sitting here and doing nothing, I still was not at full health. The witch did eventually decide to come down here and fight me.
Ding dong, the demonetized. She's dead.
I tried to find some more stars, but of course the night had passed. I started off the next day by exercising my Second Amendment rights on this stupid bird. Once I got back to base, I cleaned out some of my items and then headed out again. Are the organ jokes even funny anymore? Seems like you guys are real bone tired of my jokes. Look at that, another Totem of Undying head. I pretty much can't die now, right? Back to the village, it's time to do some business and get rich. You guys gotta give me some other countries to make fun of. I can't keep picking on the US and China. Once I got back, I started working on a new bow. This time, I was looking for the exploding enchantment. As soon as that was done, I went back and made a rocket launcher to rival Technoblades. Yep, this was gonna carry me through a lot of the game. Then I went down into the mines to grab some more resources. Hey Obama, wanna watch me drone strike some civilians? Yeah, check this out, bet you can't beat this one. I was able to get full diamond at this point, but I only got 3/4 because I didn't want to activate the next game stage. After sorting out my inventory, it was time to go back up to the surface. I kind of felt like a NEET emerging from the basement because by the time I got up to the surface, it was already almost nighttime. I dropped off all my stuff and then started working on a new pen for my reindeer. Then I started working on another bow to anvil onto my previous one. It really feels like I'm playing MapleStory all over again, just grinding levels. I decided to enchant my armor because, screw it, some protection is still better than none. And funny enough, I think that's what my parents also said when they found my YouTube channel. I was getting really hungry, but the sun came up, so that was nice. God, I love intestine ASMR.
What did he say?
When I got back, I tried to combine the bows, but it was way too expensive. What kind of economy do these guys think I live in? Then it was time to make the most overpowered craft in the game. A jukebox. Oh boy, time to play my favorite music disc. I wonder what the funny goat streamer will say. soon as night fell, I rushed back to finish my enchantments. Fire protection is not actually that bad because fire actually lasts a really long time in hardcore mode. I have more fire protection, but again that pretty much means I won't take any damage from fire. I have nothing positive to say about Lunar Shield. It is objectively the worst enchantment in the game. Think about it. What use does Lunar Shield have? Think about it, okay? It's the strongest on full moons when less mobs spawn, right? Less mobs spawn during full moons. And it's the weakest on new moons when you both have to deal with the darkness and increase spawn rates. I finally decided to advance the game stage and made diamond boots. You know the drill. With a full set of diamond and the learning enchantment, I could get XP a lot faster, but for some reason I decided not to use it here. I don't really know why. I ended up getting blast protection, which was, it was okay, I guess. With the full set made, it was time to crank up those numbers. You can only commit so many war crimes with bad weapons, so I decided to sink all of my new XP levels into making a diamond saber. Yep, learning seems pretty balanced to me. This is hands down the best set of enchantments I've ever gotten. I got sharpness, unbreaking, sweeping edge, and looting. After grinding out a few more levels, I went back up and headed to base. Honestly, I had no idea what the plan was for today. I started off by making a turntable so I could start working on pottery. Then it was finally time to tame this horse that I'd put in my base all those episodes ago. I started preparing all these totems because I knew I was going to need them once I went to the Nether. As Sun Tzu once wrote in The Art of War, every hole is a goal.
Please don't take away my driver's license.
Funny enough, falling into this hole actually led me directly to a spider spawner, which was nice. The loot was pretty good. I got an enchanted book and gunpowder. I dropped a marker here just in case I wanted to make a farm later. And then it was time to depart. I started gathering some obsidian to make another portal. I could have made it down here, but I decided it'd be smarter to move it upstairs. As I was finishing up the nether portal, the full moon was starting to rise, so I went back up to the surface. Making lunar water was a key priority for me if I wanted to make baubles. I was finally ready to start taking on Endermen because I had the armor and weapons to do so. I wanted to make the inside of my new room a little bit more homely, I guess, so I put in a bunch of dirt and grass. In case you couldn't tell, yeah, this was going to be a pretty painfully long process. I realized that it might actually be smarter to use platforms as a bottom layer and then just put dirt on top. But enough chit chat, it was time to make some Lunar Gamer girl bath water. And then I bottled it up faster than Belle Delphine. I grabbed a bucket of the stuff because if you look at it, it actually gives you regeneration and clears any negative status effects that you have. Pretty broken. I think it's time for another low budget building montage. I hope you guys enjoy. With the interior done, it was time to better my Better with Mod setup using the Better water wheel. With the water wheel done, it was finally time to say goodbye to my old friend, the windmill. Then it was time to set up the grinder. This system was going to be used to grind up anything that I needed in bulk, like flour, netherrack, or anything else. Oh, I forgot to mention, by the way, tonight is an invasion night, so let's go ahead and cut straight to the montage. Those segments of the video are always my favorite to make. And by the way, if you're still watching at this point, do keep in mind every time I release one of those new montages, you can expect a hardcore episode to come out in about 3 to 4 days. The gear system is honestly just such a phenomenally well thought up idea. Like, this also exists in Create, which is why Better with Mods and Create are two of my favorite tech mods. I was doing my daily feather run when I checked my inventory and I suddenly realized I'd gotten a rotten egg. I could actually spawn a cockatrice with this, so I tried and there he was. Decided to name him Richard because, you know, Richard, cockatrice, hilarious. I realigned the final gearbox and then the system started running. All I had to do now was put down a filtered hopper to collect items and a water bucket to push all the items there. I wanted to progress a little bit further, so I set up a turntable to make a crucible. But my crucible wasn't going to be full of allusions to McCarthyism. I set up the sawmill in such a way that the water stream would collect all of the drops and I wouldn't have to put a hopper down. I also decided to set up an automated dispenser system because, hell, if it makes my life easier, it's worth it. The final touch? A lever to turn everything off so I wouldn't have to listen to all the commotion while I was away. Now that the mechanical power was done, it was time to set up an automated kiln so I could make bread and pottery, the only two important things in life.
Baguette. Baguette.
I ended up moving the turntable over by 1 block so I could make some room for a filtered hopper. After all that time, I was finally ready to make a crucible. While I waited for that to cook, I went back and grabbed my cauldron and moved it over. You know what surprises me? The fact that anything I build actually works on the first try. Like, this is amazing. Finally, the last thing I needed to do was grind up some cyan dye to make greenhouse glass. Let's go ahead and pay our old friend Hell a little bit of a visit. First, of course, I had to pet my dog. Then I equipped all of my totems, lit up the nether portal, and pet my dog one last time because I wasn't sure if I was ever going to see him alive again. With nothing left to do, it was time to go. First, I had to do the time-honored tradition of giga drilling all the netherrack in sight. As I was digging, I found a massive repository of soul sand, which is really helpful because normally you have a pretty hard time finding this stuff. Having surprisingly survived that ordeal, I went back to the overworld, grabbed my stuff, and started heading to base. Using the netherrack I had just recently obtained, I was able to set up my crucible and cauldron. I started going back to the village because I really wanted some packed ice. I was getting kind of wrecked by mobs on the way there, but suddenly, out of nowhere, Richard just jumped out and started attacking them. Like, it's the most glorious thing I've ever witnessed. As I was disassembling the houses, I turned around and saw Richard just lasering a creeper from across the river. By the time I was done, I'd harvested a total of over 3 stacks of packed ice, which is going to be really useful for my upcoming nether highway. Since I was here, I decided, you know what, I may as well go back to the nether to grab some netherrack. This stuff is so useful for progressing that I just needed an insane amount. As I explored the local area, I realized that there was a nether city right next to the portal. I knew I had to go check that out. When I got back to the overworld, I realized I'd never put my reindeer inside of the pen. In fact, I ditched him earlier when I was trying to fight those mobs. I think I'm gonna have to go pay Santa another visit. This time, Rudolph's on my hit list. As soon as I got back, I tossed all of my netherrack into the grinding machines and then got to work on getting some soul urns. And then finally, after all this time, I was ready to make my first soul urn. At this point, there were two main reasons why I wanted soul urns. Reason number one was because I wanted block dispensers to set up an automated stone brick factory. And reason number two is because gas drop gas tiers, which can then be turned into regeneration rings, which is, as the name suggests, insanely overpowered. For now, I only made 6, but I was going to need a lot more later. I also decided to start grinding up some coal in order to make nether coal as well as steel. Because each coal piece produces 4 pieces of nether coal, I was essentially able to turn a fuel source that only burned for 8 items into 4 fuel sources that burned for a total of 64 items. In addition, you could pretty much use nether coal to duplicate torches, so I didn't have to make that many anymore. And of course, if I used a synsantinite forge, which doubles the length of each fuel source, I could turn a single piece of coal into 128 items smelted. With the additional coal that I had, I started smelting steel because I needed to make a steel anvil. While all of that was processing, I started working on making nether bricks because this stuff was going to be critical in doing advanced alchemy. And while that was cooking, I started working on vanilla stone in order to make a block dispenser. Fun fact, did you know you can actually smelt stone inside of a crucible without needing any coal at all? It's pretty useful. Glare torches are amazing because they're not only brighter, but you can also throw them, and they're more cost efficient than regular torches. At this point, the only thing I was really missing was more iron. I needed it because I wanted to make hoppers, more steel, and all those other goodies. So I made like a West Virginian and went into the mines. Except, you know, I wasn't really looking for coal. Everything seemed alright when suddenly disaster struck. Alex the 166, if you're watching this, I absolutely hate you. How could you code a pet like that could make me feel so bad about losing it? With even more diamonds than iron ore, which was pretty depressing. I was still feeling pretty sad when I got up to the surface, but I saw that one of my dogs was sitting there waiting to accompany me home, so I felt good about that. I cooked some fire charges inside of the kiln to get some blaze powder. I found myself running out of inventory space pretty often, so I decided to craft a portable ender chest with this blaze powder. Combining the steel I had just cooked with the steel that I already had, I was finally able to make a steel anvil. I also converted all of my tattered hides into cut leather because why not? Funny enough, this was actually the first time I'd ever made tan leather and not tan cut leather. With all of the pieces finally done, I crafted my block dispenser. I don't know how I didn't think of this earlier, but you can actually heal the chickens with the lunar water. When I checked the chicken chest, I found that there were 2 rotten eggs, and I got another cockatrice. This time, I would be a lot more careful. If you have any interesting name ideas, make sure to leave them down in the comment section below. Next episode, we're going to name all of the pets. After all was said and done, it was finally time to go. Day 31 had arrived.